All right. Welcome in to this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how are we doing?
I'm good. Obviously, some big things happened, but I get a haircut on Wednesday, and I have not gotten a haircut in about 2 months, and I've never been more excited for that day to finally come.
So let me ask you this. Are you one of those people who likes to talk to the stylist, or do you prefer she just cut my hair, let me be done in 10 minutes?
I do talk to my stylist.
Okay.
I've been going to the same person for a few years. We do talk.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. For me, it's a crapshoot because, first of all, what I get is I get what type of haircut I want. They have a file.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, do you want the number 3 again, sir? I was like, sure. And I want to talk, but sometimes the stylist is just like,
yeah.
Maybe ask me how I'm doing, and then she'll just get right to work. But outside of that, it's just one of those things where, but sometimes, but here's the thing. Sometimes I don't want my stylist to get want to know too much about my life, right? Like they're just like, so how many brothers and sisters do you have? Or what? Or maybe if she asks me what I'm doing today, that's fine. But sometimes, some people just get really intrusive about how many brothers and sisters do you have? Are you dating somebody? It's just all right, whoa.
Yep.
Whoa. So
slow your roll. Slow your roll.
Exactly. So, all right, kind of moving on. Let's get right to the topics. First up, it was announced by Shams. There might have been some confusion there because I know when people read Shams' report that Giannis had asked for a trade. Giannis has not asked for a trade. The wording on his tweet was more or less, he's open to being traded now.
Yep.
And I think now that Giannis is kind of seeing it where it's like, yeah, I think we're going to have to split up. Because look, Milwaukee's lost to the Wizards 3 times now.
Yep.
And I think he knew, and I think from what Windhorst said, that it's kind of going back as far as May that he wanted this to happen. So I think he always kind of had in the back of his mind where I was like, I don't think that this team, is going anywhere. So, so I guess what was your reaction to it? And here's my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Is it more likely that this is going to happen at the trade deadline, or do you think this happens in the off season?
At first, I thought it might have been a more of an off-season thing. But I think realistically, if you're going to want to be a part of this next draft class, I feel like it's probably easier to do it before the deadline, just to get as much capital as you can. You never know with the off-season how things could change with, his injuries and stuff like that. Does that change the outcome of what people are willing to give up for him? Obviously, he is injured right now, but people are still going to pay an arm and a leg for it. But I feel like it's going to be more of a deadline thing now, prior to me thinking more off-season, had he not been hurt. But I think it's more of a deadline if they're going to want draft picks back, see what place they can get without him, and are you going to tank? Does he want to tank with him being on the team, et cetera, et cetera? But yeah, I think it's a deadline.
I think deadline 2, the only complications I would say comes with that is which team has enough to be able to get him.
Yep.
Right? Because I'm looking at it from a distance and I'm just like, all right. I've said this before. I could poke holes in each team that might want to acquire him. And Evan, I'm gonna be. It's rare when deals like that get pulled off. Luka deals just don't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. And I think right now it would just be the smartest thing for them to wait in the offseason and then see what package they can get. I do think that's what smart teams do, right? Look, I think Milwaukee understands they're not going anywhere, right? And this is another year away from which Giannis can win a championship. But I think this was kind of similar to when maybe on a smaller scale, but this kind of similar to when Anthony Davis got traded from the Pelicans. And it was probably expected that he was going to be traded. But I just think that if you can get like a surplus of draft picks and maybe a couple young players, I think that's what you do. Because what? It's no secret to what teams Giannis maybe has wanted to go to, like has maybe asked to be traded to, or stuff like that. We understand the Knicks and that stuff, and a lot of people are saying the Knicks have the best to offer him. But and I'm really trying to think if that would be the case, because you don't necessarily want Cat and Mikal Bridges. Like, I would love Mikal Bridges, but I don't know. Like, I think another team would need to be involved for this to work.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, like, I'm really trying to think the only way it could work during the deadline, it's going to have to be a 3-team deal. Like, it really is. I don't think the package of players that are being rumored to get Giannis, I don't think it's enough for just 2 teams. Right? Like, I think you have to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I do think Milwaukee is going to make a trade. It's just who? Like maybe it could be a package of like Kuzma and Portis for another team, and then Giannis to another team, because truly, I just don't think it can't be just a team and team swap. I just don't truly think that would be enough for it to work.
Yeah, and I feel like with the deadline itself, because I've been reading a lot of articles and teams have been saying like, oh, the Bucks are asking for the moon, and it's like, duh, like Desmond Bane, Mikal Bridges, they got 5 first-round picks for themselves. Giannis is easily like a 4 or 5, some young players and maybe a vet or so, but I feel like I can see both. I think there's a fair point for either or. Like, offseason, you could go to see they're not like in a position where like they're in dead last. They could, again, it is very far out, but they could still obviously get a play-in. You never know if they randomly get hot, but I don't think they will. But they are not in a deficit where it's like, all right, Giannis, whether he's playing or not, we suck and we just need to get him out of here. They're not like, obviously I can't say the Wizards because the Wizards have beaten us 3 times this year, but they're in a position where like, obviously they're still fighting for a play-in team, but there's no rush to it, especially with 4 days to go, I believe. The deadline's the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like if it were the deadline, like we said, might have already happened or more rumors have been surfacing, but yeah, either or, you just got to make sure it's right. I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong in this kind of trade, and I really want it to be the perfect trade that benefits, obviously, Giannis, the other team, and most importantly, us, because obviously we're the team we're cheering for. But it has to be done right in order for it to work, and there are many ways where over the summer they could do it right, get a couple draft picks back, especially with the Pelicans or the Bucks. Like, I don't know. It's always so tricky. I didn't think we'd ever be in this situation where we're talking about trading Giannis, but we'll see. I'll be fine with either or as long as it's done appropriately.
Yeah, and the one thing Milwaukee doesn't want to do, because the only time that they've really ever done something like this, trade like a generational talent, is when they trade away Kareem. And I'm looking up what that deal was for. It was for Elmore Smith, Brian Winters, Dave Myers, and Junior Bridgman. Now, Junior Bridgman was really the only guy who worked out in that deal. So I think Milwaukee needs to make sure, like, okay, we got to ask for everything, like every conceivable asset to get Giannis like to where he wants to go. And I don't even think Milwaukee should be concerned about where Giannis wants to go.
Yeah.
Every player has trade destinations. Milwaukee should like, really, they got to do what's best for the organization. Because at the end of the day, they're still running a business. And where Giannis wants to go is pretty irrelevant right now. Like, it's like, if I'm John Horst, I'm like, dude, we've done everything for you. It's like, we have to be a little selfish to be like, we have to get the best possible deal.
Yep.
And put feelings aside on that. Like, just because he wants to go to New York, that doesn't mean anything for us. That's not the best possible deal. So they have to make sure that they get the best deal out of this. so that they can move forward. Next up, the Jay Crowder and Doc relationship. So obviously, in case you guys missed it, like, Doc Rivers. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go find it. I'm gonna go find the tweet to which Jay Crowder did this.
Yeah, the big thing was like, you guys were dancing after Adrian Griffin got fired. We were 30-13. It was kind of random. It wasn't random, but it was like, of all people, like Jay Crowder was the guy to speak up about it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I mean, it was 1,000%. Like, wow, that really just came out of nowhere. Like, truly, it was truly out of like. See if I can find it. I probably should have signed it beforehand. All right. Well, it didn't look like it worked, but yeah. Let me make sure I can go back to the. All right. So I couldn't. Forgot to share the tweet, but like essentially what the tweet was is that it was an old tweet from Woj in which Adrian Griffin got fired. And Jay Crowder was essentially like, you really fired this guy at 30-13. Like, this is where the Avalanche started. And look, Evan, there's a lot of revisionist history there because I think people are just looking at the record.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that both of us were really in support of firing Adrian Griffin. I think we were more or less surprised, not necessarily shocked. And here's why. The team was not playing any defense. Okay. Like when they had Griffin like coaching the team, every game felt like an all-star game score.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you remember, he went away from the very successful drop coverage with Brook Lopez. And, he tried to do like this blitzing thing that I think Jason Kidd tried to do. It didn't work. It truly did not work. And, the team's transition defense was awful. And more importantly, he lost, like, he wasn't respected in that locker room by either Giannis or Dame. You have those three things. Like, I don't think it should not matter what your record is. Okay. Like, I think what Bucks ownership and GM John Horst saw was this is not sustainable. Like, we cannot play like this in the playoffs and expect to win. We cannot keep having these 131 to 125 games. Like, I get that they were 30-13. I understand that. But by the same token, you have to look at it where it's like they're winning just basically off talent to where, okay, we got Damian Lillard and we got Giannis. All right? Like, Jay Crowder is looking at it from a records perspective. But I think we all ran from team perspective. The team under Mike Boone was like top 5. And it slipped considerably under Adrian Griffin. But I do blame ownership and the GM because it's like, look, you fell into the fan pressure of we have to fire Mike Budenholzer. All right, well then who's the next? But do you have a next guy? And that was the Bucks' issue. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a next guy like in charge. Like it was like, no, we have to fire him. We have to make a change for change's sake. And that's what they did. But like, again, they didn't have, and again, everybody was skeptical about like, well, okay, this team has championship aspirations and you're going with a first-year coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like based off what? But that's the thing is like if you were gonna fire him like 4 to 5 months, like I just wouldn't have hired him in the first place.
Correct.
Like that's the thing is I think if you go back and you ask ownership or John Horst, like they would have been like they should have waited a year. They should have waited a year. They should have waited it out, and if they didn't like him, like that's so unprecedented what Milwaukee did before. Larry Jrue was one of the worst coaches in team history. They at least gave him a year. Like even though that they knew he was only going to win like like a little over 10. He won like 13 games. They at least gave him a year, Evan. So it's just unprecedented to where they just made like an emotional decision just based on Giannis and Dame don't get along with this guy. It's like, okay, even so, give him a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you bring in Doc Rivers, Evan, from that first press conference, he already sounded like he didn't want to be there. He literally told everyone, oh, I don't know why you would do this like right in the middle of the season. And it's like, look, there's going to be a long road ahead of us. It's just like, dude, we're 30-13. Like that was the issue I have. It just sounded like Doc Rivers just did not want to coach. That he was like they were essentially forcing him to coach. Like that's the issue I have with it. And now that it's like been 3 years down the road, like we all know Doc Rivers is not going to be here next year. This team has no championship aspirations. If Doc Rivers didn't want to be here from the outset, from a team with championship aspirations, what do you think he's going to do with the team who's going to be rebuilding for the next couple of years? Like he's not. And again, so now Milwaukee's going to have to go through their fourth coaching search, okay? Which it sucks because this makes Milwaukee look like an unstable franchise.
Yep. Every time you see the coach firing, and obviously Budenholzer was only again a few years ago, where it's not like it's been 5+ years and they've shot away from one. But yeah, being on their fourth and since the championship, it's essentially will be the fourth. I don't know. It always is upsetting because then people just feel like we are crumbling, which we are. But they just have to make sure it resurfaces that we're crumbling and struggling.
And that's my thing about it. It's just like, and again, like Charles Barkley said, they have tried. Okay, most teams, like LeBron's first time around. Okay, Cavs really didn't try to put like a winner around him. Like he basically had to do everything himself. And look, I think they've said this about the front office. They have tried every conceivable thing they could do to put a winner around Giannis. They've tried everything. It just didn't work. They got a championship out of it. It's tough. It is so tough to remain in a competitive window for so long. Okay? But now what you're going to have to see, once they trade Giannis, Evan, they're going to go to a non-competitive window where expectations are going to get a lot lower. But here's the good news. With the pick swap, okay, I think I was reading this today. I think if I read this right. The Bucks can still get a lottery pick.
Yep.
Even if the Pelicans have like a better record than we do. I believe that's how that works. Now, they're not going to be in control of their first round pick. And by the way, they can't trade away that pick because it's a pick swap. So it's like, I think that was a part of the Jrue Holiday deal, if I'm not mistaken. They're not going to be in control of their draft picks the next few years because of the whole Damian Lillard deal. But again, if John Horst, and by the way, I think that's the other thing too. I think they also have to think about like maybe getting like a new general manager in there. I think that has to be because
also in consideration.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, how long is a guy supposed to have a job? I mean, look, he did it for 9 years. It's like, how long is he supposed to? Like, look, he tried everything, but like, I just don't know how many years you want to keep this guy.
Yep. And I feel like if you're going in a rebuild, you just rebuild everything.
Ground up.
Start fresh everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like I said, I do think that Milwaukee could be a decent job for someone looking like for a first-year coach.
Mm-hmm.
There's no talent on the roster. And, I think Milwaukee has to start kind of getting out from underneath these contracts. Not just Giannis. Okay, if they want to do it this summer, fine. Miles Turner could be in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like BP, Kuzma. Like you got to start, they have a couple building blocks there in AJ Green and Ryan Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
But you only signed Miles Turner with the exception that he was going to do something for you. And again, but the thing is with Miles Turner, I don't think it's been as disappointing as people thought it's been. It's just, he's just another good role player. He's not what you were expecting. Like, I don't even think Miles Turner's been that bad. And then people are like, oh, that's like the worst signing in franchise history. I was like, no,
Not really.
He's had some good games. I don't think it's been as big of a disaster as people want to say. Like Joe Alexander in 2008. That's a disaster.
Yep.
Giannis being on the Bucks for a season as like the 6th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
That's a disaster. Miles Turner has been very, very the furthest thing from a disaster. So, I mean, I don't want to hear like, oh my God. Okay, maybe he's not putting up the requisite numbers, but still. I just don't know what else they expected. So, moving on. The Doc Rivers, kind of made some waves the other night where he said that before Milwaukee's game against Philadelphia, he said Joel Embiid is the most talented player he's ever coached. What was your reaction to
that? It's just like adding more things to the whole Giannis thing that just isn't necessary. I mean, is Joel Embiid a talented player? Sure. He has an MVP, quote unquote. Like I still feel like it was a gimme MVP, but no, it's just kind of annoying that your own coach would kind of Giannis. He is a Finals MVP, obviously won the Finals, 2-time MVP, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. It's just like he has the accolades, multiple All-Stars in a row, starter, etc. It shows the talent that he has, and no, it's just I feel like it's a good stab in the back of, hey, my star player right now is light years better than Joel Embiid, but I want to make sure that I still say this. I don't know. I would be frustrated and kind of annoyed, especially with the situation going on with Giannis, just to hear that from your own coach. Like, yeah, I've coached some talented people, but this one guy who's hurt every other game he's been the best. I mean, I would be a little frustrated. It'd be different if it was like Doc Rivers has coached Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. That I could see. But Joel Embiid being that person is a little frustrating. And I read that. I'm like, well, that doesn't really help the situation at all and just kind of makes it look more, I don't know the word I'm trying to think. It just adds on to the irritation of this whole situation itself.
And look, I want to be fair to Doc. Sometimes people do take quotes like this out of context and they could clip it. So here's the full quote. He said, I was telling a very, very, very Hall of Fame player that I coached that Joel is the most talented player that I ever coached, Rivers said, pregame media availability in Philadelphia. And he was like, what? And I was like, he is. The things you see and then the things you actually don't see in practice sometimes they can do, it's incredible. It really is. Unfortunately for me, I never had him healthy once in the playoffs. And then he continued. He wasn't healthy last year. He wasn't healthy the year before. Rivers continued. If he ever gets to the playoffs healthy, they're going to be a dangerous team, but it's always going to come down to that. Nothing's changed. And he wasn't really brought up. I think if he would have thrown Giannis in there to be like, this is no slight against Giannis.
Yep.
But I think when you just go into the quote that, hey, Joel Embiid's the most talented player I ever coached, I think that's where Bucks fans with that get rubbed the wrong way. Because, I think you have to qualify that statement to be like if you want to – and by the way, I don't even think it was the appropriate time to bring that up because you're about to play Joel Embiid in the Sixers. So it's like you're almost hoping for success. This is something that you're chopping it up with Paul Pierce and like Kevin Garnett. Like, if
5
they were
years
to ask
down
you
the
that
road.
question, and if Doc Rivers were to say, "This is no slight against Giannis. Giannis is a great player, but I do think Joel Embiid, with his size and ability, I think he's the most talented player I ever coached." But when you just go right into that quote, Joel Embiid's like the most talented player I ever coached. I think that's where Bucks fans like have a right to be mad. Okay. And look, I get Joel Embiid's like had an MVP, put up big numbers. Okay. I would argue Giannis's prime was a lot better than his because he won 2 MVPs and he won Defensive Player of the Year. Like I think Giannis's accolades, like Joel has been, like I get it. Joel's like had a lot of injuries, okay? And do I think he's a future Hall of Famer? Sure, but I don't think that people could sit there and be like his prime compares to Giannis because it doesn't. Giannis, like, could score. He put up 50 points in the finals. Okay, like he won a championship, multiple. Not since
2019, 2020 was the last MVP.
No, not that. I was trying to think. I was trying to think of like when the last time that they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it. Wow. I think it's. Well, I actually think it's been since the championship year.
Yep, they've gone second round against the Celtics and then first round.
Yeah. So I mean, look, but his prime involved like multiple Eastern Conference Finals appearances, a championship. Like Joel Embiid, like has never made it to an Eastern Conference Finals ever. Like Philly has never been on the precipice of making the NBA Finals during Joel Embiid's tenure there. Okay. So sure, he's been hurt. I get it. He's played through face fractures. I get it. I understand that. I understand he's played through injuries. But I just don't think I can sit there and be like, those two have a comparable prime because they absolutely do not. Joel Embiid missed 2 full years of basketball to recover from injuries. Giannis, like, really started to break out like his 3rd year in the league, and he's continuing to get better and better and better. Even if this year he's had to do a lot more with like dealing with multiple soleus strains. But no, they're not the same. And I understand where Doc Rivers is coming from. I just wouldn't have said it as a head coach of the opposing team, of like the team that, like, I would have made more or less just chopped it up. That's a podcast topic. That's not something that you say before media availability. So that's the biggest problem I had with it.
Yeah, that's 5 years down the road, enjoying your retirement, and Joel Embiid, blah blah blah. Yeah, it's a wild thing to say, especially being a coach of Giannis and then again playing Embiid soon. But that's Doc.
It's not
so Doc.
All right, next topic, because we've seen multiple things about this. Giannis to Golden State. Now, I've heard the scuttlebutt that, hey, to match salaries, the Warriors might want to give up Jimmy Butler and Kuminga for Giannis and multiple draft picks. Do you think that Milwaukee should do that? Or do you even think like Milwaukee or Giannis to Golden State makes any sort of sense?
Obviously, that has clearly been one of the bigger ones. It's so hard for that one just because, again, Jimmy Butler is older than Giannis. And it would be, because that's pretty much going to be like your headline. Jimmy Butler's 36 years old. He's still good. He averages about 20 points a game, like 25 and 5, I think. But it's like, how long can he like hold on to that for? And is that going to be a good fit for, a rebuilding team? But like Kuminga is appealing. It just kind of depends on the draft picks, but it's not like I'm very bad with drafts, like the lottery and the swap, all that kind of stuff. I try to think I know, and then I don't. Or I think I do, and then I'm like, oh, that was completely not what I thought. But obviously it's a little harder just because the Warriors have been a little better the last few years, but it could, again, range with their seeding, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'll go out and say that I'm not the biggest fan. Again, if Jimmy Butler is maybe 5 years younger, I would be a little more appealed. Again, I'm not throwing shit at Jimmy Butler that he is older, but it's it'd be hard to trade again a superstar MVP, one of the greatest of all time, and then you just get someone 5 years older in return. Sure, you get some draft picks, but who knows how long Jimmy Butler's going to stay after that, essentially.
Yeah, you're right about that. Like I don't like it. I don't think getting like a much older player who's coming off an ACL tear, I don't think that does Milwaukee any good. And I don't even think Jimmy Butler's not even like you get Jimmy Butler in the postseason, right?
Correct.
Jimmy Butler is a great postseason player. That's where the moniker Jimmy Buckets comes from.
And we've seen
it. And we've seen it. Trust me. We're well aware 2020, 2023. Trust me. We're well aware Jimmy Buckets can do. Regular season, like he gets like Jimmy Butler is a good mid-range guy. He gets to the line a lot, draws a lot of fouls. But no, as far as like a trade package for like an older player is coming off, no,
yeah,
not for Giannis, not for Giannis. Now, if you want to trade Kuz or somebody for Bobby Portis or something like that, all right, then you have my attention.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean. At this stage, Jimmy Butler's stage, do you really think he wants to be playing for a rebuilding team?
Correct.
To match, like he's never won a championship. He's gone to the finals a couple times. But, I mean, I'm good. I don't think Milwaukee – I don't think Milwaukee should do the deal with the Warriors because I just don't see – yeah, and by the way, like, Jonathan Kuminga, like, it would be one thing if he were playing on a regular basis, semi-annual. But I mean, he's got parked at the end of the bench. So how do I know how good he is? Like, if he's not playing for if he's not playing for a championship level team, then I don't think Milwaukee should go into it being like, well, just because he's a young player, like he's got talent. That's sure he has talent, but also he's got parked at the end of the bench by Golden State. So I just don't.
Yeah, if he's a consistent starter.
Yeah, how am I supposed to feel about that? So I just think Milwaukee.
Again, not a Giannis trade.
What?
Again, not a Giannis trade, but you could do, again, Bobby and Kuzma and someone, maybe him and a couple picks, but it's not I just was not a fan. I'm not a big fan of any of like the trade packages. There's a couple that are intriguing. It's really going to come down to the factor of the draft picks. And if you can get one this year with the Pelicans and potentially get a top 5 pick, that's the only thing that's intriguing.
I wasn't like that big of a fan for him. Let's see next. Let's move on to the next topic. I was reading something that said that Giannis could be looking to play with Jrue Holiday again.
I did see that.
Now, Jrue Holiday is in the Pacific Northwest. He's on the Portland Trailblazers. And yet Damian Lillard is also at the Pacific Northwest.
Huh.
Now, what I did read, though, is the Blazers kind of know. The Blazers are really interested, as a lot of teams are going to be. But they do know that getting him to sign a contract extension in Portland, that's going to be a bit of a long shot. Which, not surprising because I think, don't get me wrong, the Blazers have been very good this year. Demi Avdija is averaging 0.5 points a game. But nobody cares about the Blazers. Okay, the Blazers are always a cute little story, or a cute little team, but they haven't really, there hasn't been a sustainable amount of success for that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And they dealt with that whole situation this year with Chauncey Billups being suspended for gambling, being a part of that gambling probe. And they're I think they're 10th seed in the West. They're 23 and 26. They're very much in the thick of things. And Thiago, give credit to Thiago Splitter, he's done a great job taking over. But yeah, I'm just wondering, do you see there's a path to where Giannis and Jrue can play together again?
I could see it, but my biggest thing is when Giannis is in the win now, again, I want to go to a team that's contending. It's what would the Trailblazers or the Raptors or the Nets or some of those teams where it's what would adding Giannis do to your team? that would completely turn things around. Again, with the Trailblazers, you're going to be giving up either future picks future picks and a couple of role players. And I don't know who else in the mix, but you probably have to, again, get a third team involved. But it's like, does that now all of a sudden turn you into finals favorites? I don't think so. Again, Lillard's coming off an ACL with us. Hasn't played since that playoffs game. A year older. Jrue Holiday also getting older. It's just not like it'd be cool for like the remainder of the season if it were to happen at the deadline. But again, like you said, like, is Giannis going to want to like sign in Portland unless they are like pretty much saying like we are about to turn things around and people are going to come to Portland? I mean, maybe, but I don't know how effective that might be, but it could happen. It'd be a weird turnaround to see Giannis, Dame, and Jrue on the same team after all the trade talks or the trades in the last few years. But I don't know. It's just such a weird situation. If Giannis wants to be a win now, like, do you even stay there in the future? Again, depending on if it happens at the deadline or not.
I think it would be great for like sentimental sake.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like Giannis and Jrue are like back together again and stuff like that, or Giannis and Dame are back together again. I think for sentimental sake, I think it would be a lot of fun. But for an overall, like making your basketball team better, like I just don't see it. So I'm really trying to name like how many players. Like I can name Avicii, I can name Jrue Holiday, I can name Lillard, Shady and Sharp. I could name.
Yeah, they got.
But I'm really trying to name like who else.
The number 2 pick a few years ago?
Scoot Henderson.
Yep, Scoot Henderson.
Name Scoot Henderson, but like,
he'd probably come here at that point.
Yeah, I mean, look at. They can. I had a couple of people comment back to me on the YouTube page that said, "Well, the Blazers could very well add someone to Milwaukee. Like they could throw in some draft picks or something." And again, if Milwaukee wants to do like Scoot Henderson or somebody like a high value draft pick, I mean that's a maybe. That's maybe somebody you could build around. I'm not 100% certain. Like and again, I would have to see. Scoot Henderson hasn't been. I mean, I just gotta see if he's been like healthy. Like especially how his like health has been for the most part. Because he has like a couple of injury concerns that I would kind of be wary of.
He's averaging. Has he played this year? He has not played this year.
Really? See, that's concerning. And don't get mad at me. I'm sorry that I don't pay attention to Portland Trail Blazers basketball, but admittedly, like, who does?
Yeah, his ESPN, his stats are all the 24-25 season.
All right, well, I'm probably. Well, apparently, according to this, he's close to a return.
Yeah, nothing from this year.
Oh, that's tough. So he's missed 48 games due to a torn hamstring.
Same thing with Giannis.
Suffered in a preseason workout. A little different because Giannis has just like a calf strain.
Yep.
That's gonna miss like 4 to 6 weeks. A torn hamstring. It's like, dude, he couldn't run. Like an explosive guy like that, like Scoot Henderson not being able to run, that's tough. That's tough. A torn hamstring. There's no way he could have. Like, yeah, he was gonna miss months for that injury. So, all right, moving on to the next topic. Pull back up. All right, Evan. In any Giannis trade, the Bucks are gonna want like a blue chip talent or some draft picks. Is that for them? Is that like a fair ask?
Like I said before, I feel like it's definitely a fair ask. Again, you are trading a top 75 player of all time I feel like what your return is going to be has to be something clearly fitting for what Giannis's worth is. Again, Giannis is not at like the end of his career where it's like, oh, we're getting Giannis, but he's 38 years old. Where it's like you see the name, but then the ages and like how he's playing is different. It's like he is still well into his career, has at least 5 or 6 years left in him. You're going to want to get something nice in return. So I feel like asking for that is not out of the picture at all. I feel like picks a couple players right now, vet as well, like we said earlier, but no, I feel like it's a pretty fair ask for anything going for him, especially with the level of talent, how he's been the last few years, and just the name itself. You're going to want, again, a nice return back.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's like I've long said that they should get young. Absolutely, positively need to get younger. I've been on this podcast for months being like the team has to get younger. Like I don't know. Like I don't understand why this team is apoplectic to getting younger. Get younger talent to build to build. Okay, like young teams make the playoffs sometimes, and I don't think the East is going to get any better. So why wouldn't Milwaukee take advantage of the situation? And be like, all right, well, let's kind of do like the hopefully on a little better scale, the Charlotte Hornets model, where it's like, why don't we just stock up on young talent, and then just go from there, like. So yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Young players and draft picks is the way that Milwaukee should go.
Definitely don't sell yourself short. Don't think like you never know, but I feel like John Horst is gonna know realistically what they're gonna need for a Giannis return. Again, we've been seeing it based off of what press has been saying with how much they want in return. But again, you're trading Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're not trading Bobby Portis. He's not like the big headliner trade. It's like you know what this guy is worth. But yeah, I feel like with the East itself, obviously the Celtics are still doing well without Tatum. But it's like, he gets back and Tyrese gets back. That's two teams into the mix, but who knows like how both of them are going to play or team success after that. But it's not like 5 or 6 teams are all of a sudden just going to shoot up. But yeah, you never know. Again, it could be a shorter rebuild if you do it correctly. Give a guy 2 years, I feel like, is a good way to judge, like, is this guy going to get better or not? So I feel like if you could just go in and get some younger guys and play it off for a few seasons, see how it goes. Maybe you trade then some of those younger guys for some veteran type players or a little more experienced. Cool. Do that. But yeah, you just got to start younger and just work your way up and hope that all those guys together can, form that team chemistry and you're able to sneak into the playoffs, maybe win a round or so, like the Pacers did the last few years against us. It's like, you have Tyrese Halliburton, but it wasn't like Luka, LeBron, all those big guys on the team. It's like you never know what's going to happen with some of these turnouts for team and their playoff success.
Got that right. So next up, Giannis, if because again he has not formally requested a trade, but said if he does request a trade, he would want one with either the Golden State Warriors, New York Knicks, Miami Heat, and or the Minnesota Timberwolves. I always said, well, although I think he also the team that was not on here that I think he put on there was the Toronto Raptors.
Now, that's such a weird one. Again, I don't get that one. I don't get it.
I don't know why Giannis went. Well, so here's the thing. So I think sometimes as a player, you want to cast a wide net of teams. Like, I think that's what Giannis wants to do. I think he's casting a wide net of teams he might want to go to. I don't get the Raptors either. And I don't like the Raptors have less than a 5% chance of getting him, considering that they've said that, okay, we're not trading away Brandon Ingram or Scotty Barnes.
It's like, all right, well, there you go.
So I was like, all right, well then that's not happening. All right, we just need to cross that off the list. Now I've read some of these, and we've already gone through the Warriors. We've kind of gone through the Heat a little bit. Like we've kind of said that. Well, the problem with the Heat is they always have like a death grip on some of these assets. And Giannis and Bam have got together and said we would love to play together. But again, if the Heat don't want to trade like any of their young talented players, then it's like, all right, well then
I don't want to do it.
we're not doing a deal. Also, I've said this before, Giannis, I probably wouldn't like how rigorous it is in Miami because like people have said it's like, dude, it's fucking hard it's hard there. Like in terms of like just playing basketball, it's just not as fun as it would be in Milwaukee. There's a rigorous training course. It's like rigorous, it's rigorous playing basketball there. I've heard we've already talked about New York. Minnesota's kind of an interesting one. I think he said he'd love to team up with Ant. I think the only problem with that is like again the Heat. Although the Timberwolves would have to give up some young assets too, and I don't know if they would be keen on doing that. Like so, you would have like they're very two high cost guys of like Ant, Gobert, and then if you put Giannis in the mix, which actually that makes it kind of interesting because if Giannis gets to Minnesota, then that's like again. Do I think they're instant title fight? Sure, but I mean they got Jay McDaniels, they got Naz Reid.
Yep,
You think one of those guys would be shipped to Milwaukee?
And Ant is such a shoot first kind of guy too. Like, how does that work with Giannis coming in? Obviously, Giannis will officially kind of like, I wouldn't say take over, but Ant's always been like the no overtime, shooting as many shots as he can. It's like, how does that correlate with then adding Giannis? It could be different, but I always just think of who the star is and how their play style is. Does that have any effect on himself or Giannis too?
Yeah, so some of these are really interesting. Do I think each team has a puncher's chance again? I'm sure. I mean, in Toronto, I don't think Toronto has a chance because Stars have really not wanted to stay in Toronto historically. Maybe outside of Vince Carter, but Kawhi, famously,
I don't want to be here.
Kawhi famously was like, I don't know what you guys trade for you. I'm only going to be here for 1 year. Hopefully,
and then they win.
And then Kawhi was like, you know what? I'm probably. He told Fred VanVleet, he was like, I don't know why they traded for you. I'm not about to be here past this year. So that was funny. And all right, next up, last topic of the day. I've heard that Milwaukee has some level of interest in Cam Thomas or D'Angelo Russell. Should Milwaukee trade for these two guys?
I mean, if you want to give up someone off the bench, D'Angelo Russell was one of my favorite players in the 2010s. But again, it's not that 2018 D'Angelo Russell. It's 2025, 26 D'Angelo Russell. Again, no shame to him. But Cam Thomas is also very shot heavy as well. So don't make a trade to make a trade. They've done that in the past and it never works out. But it, again, does not have any effect to them at all. But it wouldn't be worth it. It just seems silly.
Also, D'Lo was not even a part of the Mavs rotation. He has not played.
Yeah.
Apparently he missed games due to an illness. But then, yeah, he's not really been a huge part of Dallas's rotation this year. And so I'm like, all right, so wait. Well, and also, and here's the point that I was making. He's a similar player to Kevin Porter Jr., except KPJ actually plays a little more defense than D'Lo does. So I just don't know why you would just give up assets to get D'Angelo Russell when he might not even be on the team next year.
Correct. Yeah, the last 10 games he's averaging 19 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Or roughly. Yeah, around there.
And Cam Thomas, don't get me wrong, Cam Thomas is a great player. He also takes 18 shots a game.
Correct.
Which, by the way, I have no idea how that offense even gets anything done. With Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas, that's the craziest. Dude, you had two guys who take a crap ton of shots. I'm like, why? Why is that? Why are those two guys on your team? You could like two ball hogs on your team. That's crazy. I looked at the stats. He takes like 15 shots. He takes 15 shots a game, and then took 18 like a couple years ago. So I just don't understand what you get out of having your offense cannot flow by that point. Just having like two just ball heavy guys.
Yeah, the whole point of Kevin Porter Jr. again, a better option for D'Angelo Austin, the shifty left-handed guards. But yeah, Cam Thomas adding to this team again will not do anything. It would honestly make it a little more frustrating to bring this guy in, and who knows what's going to happen with that. But has he done well at some points? Sure, but then he goes like 8 of 24, and it's like, okay, like I'm not trying to watch that at all.
So, Evan, you got anything else?
Obviously we could record a new podcast next week, and Giannis might not be on the team. But I don't know. We got a championship out of it. It sucks if it does happen. It might not. You never know. You truly never know. Again, with the reports, but got a championship out of it. It's always curious for potential future things. I love change. I love big things when big things happen. Now, do I think we should trade him? No, because you just really want him to be a Buck for life, which he will. He'll get a statue. He'll get everything. But who knows? You never know. But always here for some change. But otherwise, got a game today at 2:30, a little matinee Celtics game. And then the Bulls on Tuesday.
Yep. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. And we'll see you guys maybe next week.
Fingers crossed.